I'm Mimi Stiletto with Skulls and Bones, attending 70,000 tons of metal aboard the beautiful Freedom of the Sea. It is day 4, and joining me today is Peter Tägtgren with Hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me
No
today
problem.
and taking some time.
No problem.
So, it is day 4. How
Yeah.
has your voyage been so far?
Very relaxing. I mean, 1 hour playing. Well, actually 2 hours with two sets. So on 4 days, it's not really that you're dying.
No, that's true.
You know, when you see the view, you can sit here and just chill out and relax, or go out and meet people. You know.
I think that's the biggest excitement for fans, is that they have the opportunity, you know, to meet some of their favorite artists and to be able to come this close to you and either have a drink or dinner.
Yeah.
So that's something really special. I think a lot of people join the cruise for that.
Yeah, it's definitely really cool how it's made, you know, and fans are cool, you know. They're not in your face or anything like that. They're really
Not
cool.
grabbing.
Comes up and, you know, asks for a photo or whatever, you know, and it's great.
Yeah. So I heard there's multiple events going on board outside of performing. Have you participated in anything outside of?
Actually, nothing.
No.
Nothing yet. No, I've been kind of lazy. I just, you know, it's cool to go out here and I just recharge my batteries and then go home and work.
So this is, a good mix of vacation and performing for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it, now I'm going to jump off my questions because I was doing a little homework yesterday.
All right.
Is it true that the day of return you are going to be at Metal Magic on Saturday in Denmark?
Yeah.
That is incredible. So for all of you, 4 days on the ship in another, country touring, and then Peter here is going to be traveling and performing the same day as returning back.
Yeah.
So that is pure dedication, and that's where I'm like, where do you, with managing multiple bands, right, and being creative and songwriting, how do you keep each one unique and separate from each other and still be so creative and diverse in your music? Yeah,
well, I mean, when it comes to creativity, I kind of slow down a little bit. I'm still trying to find something that will, like inspire me again, a lot. But I mean, with all these things flying back and forth, I mean, last week we were in Finland doing a tour with Pain. So it's kind of schizophrenic, but I can tell you it's very important to have good management that helps you fix everything.
Well, you've been quite successful, so it sounds like your management team is stellar.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's
Definitely.
awesome. So it has been a long couple of years in quarantine. Who are you most excited to see once the doors have opened to the cities again? Who are, especially on the boat?
I don't know, friends from bands.
Yeah.
That you haven't seen for a while. So you meet pretty much everybody on this boat, and you're friends with almost half of them, of the band. So it's great, and plus, journalists that's been around for, 20, 30 years, you meet up again and things like that, and so it's great.
So you're just meeting everybody and close friends, band members.
Yeah, exactly, and crew and stuff. They used to work with
too,
you
and
things. So it's just pure fun.
Love it. And you were just saying, you have multiple years. Hypocrisy is actually a 30-year history with 12 albums, hundreds of performances around the globe.
Yeah.
And one of the things I was thinking about last night, with all the experiences as artists, performers, songwriters, even managing and putting out your own demos, what would you say is your most rewarding part about being in Hypocrisy?
Still being here.
The longevity.
And not, kind of fell to the bottom because of the evolution of metal music and things. We never really tried to be hip. Well, in the beginning of the 90s, we followed the big guys that we were inspired by,
Right.
And, after an album or two, you start to find your own niche, so to say, and you kept going like that. So for us, it's the diploma for being around 30 years is, still standing tall, I would say.
Yeah, that's a really great answer.
Yeah, and thanks to the fans, of course.
Of course, yeah. And I like I said, I saw Pain live, and when you had Sebastian, and it was such a unique experience as a new metal fan. I've never been exposed to heavy metal, death metal, and seeing you guys for the first time in that venue in Chicago, I was floored. I really, I loved the family element.
Yeah.
And now walking aboard 70,000 tons of metal, you actually see young children.
Yeah.
And I just know it's just safe to know that the metal will be passed on in other generations.
Yeah, I definitely think people need more brutal music, you know, than what they hear on radio. I mean, on normal radio and stuff. So
it's true.
I think we all, it's a passion that you either have or you don't have. You know, some people are good on business, some people are good on music. Some, you know, it's just different ways for different people, I think. You know, and metalheads is metalheads. They get born in it. You know, I think so.
With talking with artists such as yourself, I think the key message to fans is that what keeps you guys strong as artists is being true to your creative selves. That's
I mean, I never really tried to sell out or anything. You know, I am a metalhead. You know, I was brought up on Moonshine and Venom in the 80s.
Oh wow!
So I mean, you know, anything that was brutal in the beginning of 80s, you just got into, because in the 70s when I grew up with older brother, he was feeding me with I guess the English glam stuff, you know, David Bowie, Sweet, Slade and things like that. And of course America, you know, because of Kiss and all the other bands in the 70s. So and then, you know, the music got a little bit heavier and more brutal. You know, you got
more edgy.
Yeah, I mean, you got Exploited, GBH started doing punk, you know, and of course Motorhead, you know, they started speeding up thing, and all of a sudden you had Slayer, Metallica, you know, with the first albums, you know, all this evolution on really getting more and more brutal, and you got into it as it was like that. So.
It seemed like it opened up the door for you guys to really make your own niche.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I believe we all mix from what we are inspired by. I think, you know, Slayer and Metallica and things, that were probably very influenced by Motorhead and also Venom and stuff like that. So, you know, that's how they made their niche into it. So we all do this all the time. All the bands, I think, you know, you start a band because you really like this kind of band or whatever, you know, and whatever time it is, you know, if it's 80s, 90s or whatever. You know.
You find it's generally, I think I spoke with some members of the Crown. They said generally who you grew up with is your kind of like your anchor, kind of where you started and what really drew you in, and it was your inspiration to start creating.
Exactly. Yeah.
So with multiple bands, I also read this too, and being a parent, just going back and forth just from the boat and talking to home, you manage multiple bands. How do you keep them all straight? Like, how do you keep them straight and then keep the creativity?
Yeah, it's pretty hard. I mean, the older you get, the less you can handle the stress factor and things like that. So that's why I'm taking it slower. Yeah. And it's a lot of balls in the air. You know, you have to take care of family and things. That's why I've also been married 3 times, divorced 3 times. So it's not easy.
No, I could tell that. But it sounds, you know, you seem like a great father.
I hope.
We all hope to do our best, right? You know,
exactly.
we can only do so much, and after a certain point. But you know, I met your son, and it was something really nice to see when your children follow in your footsteps for the love of music and participating, whether it's short term or long term.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And I mean, he's writing music with me, so it's really good.
So you're able to lean on him too, especially with juggling. You're able to lean on.
Yeah, just yesterday I was like, hey, did you come up with any things for the new Pain album? I mean, he wrote a song on the Last Hippo album, and also on Lindemann, and he helps me. He wrote one song now on the new Pain album, and so, you know, it's good for him also to get a foot in there, and you know, he's an artist as well, so it's good for him to express himself and, you know, get a diploma for it, so to say, because a lot of people, there's so many good talents out there that never get, you know, really the chance to get out there.
To further, you're saying, and also further their education. And
because you need this carrot, you know, to keep on going. You know, if nothing happens after a while, you
need to be able to find your footing somewhere else in the industry to keep your love alive if you wanted to stay in music.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, a lot of people are born just to do this. Yeah. So they need to get this carrot to keep on going.
Awesome. I have a few more questions I want to touch base on. So these are from Jason Carlson himself. So, and I looked this up too. Hypocrisy does not represent the word hypocrite, does not represent you whatsoever. But hypocrisy, where did the name come from? I'm really curious to hear.
It was actually our old singer, Massa, who came up with that. I called it seditious when I was doing the demos by myself, and didn't get any response from any labels and things. And then because I knew I was a shitty singer, so I needed someone that was good on death metal. And Massa had his grandma and grandfather in the same area where I lived. So actually a friend of mine recommended him because he was up for a weekend or something like that. And that's really how it went. And after a while, we did the same demos again, but he put the vocals on. And he said, maybe we should call it Hypocrisy instead. And I was like, that's a good name.
It's catchy. Yeah, it's catchy. It's catchy, but when you hear about your integrity and the amount of work, I'm like, wow, it doesn't match the artist. So I love to know where it comes from.
Yeah.
In a personal question, I've always been into aliens, UFOs. Yeah. Is that your love that shows through the extraterrestrial side?
It's a little bit like when you're a kid thinking about, if Santa is real or not.
Right.
Things that obviously there's no proof that we know. I'm sure there's people know if it's true or not, and that makes it more interesting.
Yeah.
And
the unknowing is what you're saying. Yeah.
Exactly. And also, it's always great to have this imagination, what if, and things like that. And that's really how I base my my lyrics on. But it's also about black ops and things like that. So it's there's a lot of different things that I try to bring up, but it keeps your imagination up and your inspiration of writing things.
Yeah. If you keep your mind open, you learn so much more.
Yeah.
So we don't know, but it's always, I love that part when Jason expressed to me, he told me that. I was like, because he knows I'm an enthusiast too.
Yeah.
So, and my last question, Worship came out in 2021, and and you have toured pretty extensively in support of the album.
Yeah.
Any more plans to more tours after Denmark, Sweden, and France? I think he's hinting at the U.S. Is there any U.S. tours?
There's no U.S. planned yet because after this summer, we're going to do as many festivals as possible this summer, and we're going to do a Scandinavian thing that they're planning now before the summer, and after that it's Spain, you know.
So you toggle. This is taking turns, taking turns with your babies.
Yeah, because it's really, you 1 week you do one band, and then the next week you do the other band, and it's a lot of hassle with equipment, songs, crew. There's different crew for both bands. I'm not entirely, but there's a lot of things to get together, and if you play a weekend with two bands, there's 40 songs and a lot of lyrics to remember over that weekend.
Keeping your streams straight,
and I'm just afraid to do a shitty job with both instead of concentrating on one and do a really good job on one gig with one band.
And that makes sense. And that makes sense because if you spread yourself too thin, nobody gets your best.
Yeah,
that's what you're afraid of. You always
I'd rather come out on stage. In the past we were just one of the drunkest band in the world. We didn't give a shit. But nowadays, like the last 15 years, I try to slow down with drinking and really try to be the best on stage.
Yeah, it's part of growing and growing up and being better than we were the day before.
Even if I stop drinking today, I'll drink most of the people for the rest of my life. So I've done my share, but I do still like to get fucked up once in a while, but not. 30 times on the tour.
I think that was for our youth days. Like even now, a couple of cocktails can really ruin me for a couple of days. So as time goes on,
for me, it's more just to perform good, to be on the alert, and give people a good show.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, that was it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope this was as painless as possible.
Oh yeah.
And thank you so much.
Hey, thank you.